In an effort to boost recruitment, the United States Army is now reducing its fitness standards. The new Army combat fitness test will be implemented in phases.
The Army is changing its standards. Should you be concerned? For decades, the U.S. Army had a clear message. If you don't meet the standard, you don't get in. Too old? No. Use drugs? No. Out of shape? No. The rules were strict for a reason, because the military isn't supposed to bend. But now it is. The age limit is rising. Marijuana policies are loosening, and people who would have been rejected just a few years ago are suddenly eligible. And when the military starts opening its doors wider than ever before, it raises a serious question. Is this progress, or is this a warning sign? Section 1. The rules are changing. At first glance, the changes don't seem dramatic, but look closer and a pattern starts to form. The Army has raised its enlistment age, allowing older individuals, some into their 40s, to join under certain conditions. Marijuana policies have shifted too. What was once an automatic disqualification is now more flexible. Past use can be waived. In some cases, even recent use isn't the deal breaker it used to be. Physical standards haven't disappeared, but they've been softened through preparatory programs designed to help recruits get up to speed after they join. Tattoo policies, relaxed. Background concerns, more waivers. Individually, these changes might seem reasonable, but together they tell a bigger story. The military is expanding the pool, and institutions like the Army don't expand standards unless they feel pressure to, because historically, they've always preferred to be selective. So why change now? Section 2. America's recruitment problem. The answer starts with the problem that's been quietly growing for years. Fewer people are joining, not just slightly fewer, but significantly fewer. Recruitment targets are being missed across multiple branches, and it's not because the military stopped trying. It's because the pool of eligible and willing candidates is shrinking. A large percentage of young Americans don't qualify. Some are disqualified for medical reasons, others for fitness, others for past drug use, and some for legal issues. But even among those who do qualify, interest is declining. Younger generations are choosing different paths: remote work, entrepreneurship, flexible lifestyles. The idea of strict discipline, hierarchy, and long deployments doesn't appeal the way it once did. There's also a deeper issue: trust. Many young people today are more skeptical of institutions than previous generations, and that skepticism extends to the military. So now the Army is facing a reality it can't ignore. It needs more people, but fewer people want in. And that forces a difficult decision: maintain strict standards and fall short, or adapt. Section 3. Preparing for something bigger. To understand the why, you have to zoom out, because recruitment problems don't exist in a vacuum. They exist within a global context, and that context is changing. The world is becoming more unstable. Tensions between major powers are rising. Conflicts are becoming more unpredictable, and the possibility of long-term, large-scale confrontation is no longer something that can be ignored. Military leaders don't wait for crises to happen. They prepare for them. And preparation isn't just about technology, it's about manpower. Because no matter how advanced warfare becomes, it still requires people, boots on the ground, support personnel, logistics, operations, and lots of it. If a large-scale conflict were to happen tomorrow, the military wouldn't just need highly trained specialists. It would need numbers, sustained numbers. And if voluntary enlistment can't meet that demand, then something has to change. Which brings us to a topic most people would rather avoid. Section 4. The draft. A possibility or a myth? For many Americans, the draft feels like ancient history, something tied to a different era. But the truth is, it never actually went away. The selective service system is still active. Every male citizen between 18 and 25 is required to register, not because a draft is happening, but because it could. That system exists for one reason: speed. If a national emergency required rapid expansion of the military, the infrastructure is already in place. And historically, drafts don't return without warning signs. They follow patterns: recruitment shortages, rising global tensions, increased military demand. Now, to be clear, there is no official draft, no announcement, no mandate. But the conditions that have led to drafts in the past, some of them are quietly reappearing. And that doesn't guarantee anything, but it makes the conversation harder to dismiss. Because the draft isn't gone, it's just inactive. Section 5. Could a draft actually help some men? This is where the conversation becomes uncomfortable. Because for most people, the idea of a draft is negative by default, and for good reason. It means forced service, loss of choice, and potential risk without consent. But there's another side that rarely gets discussed. For some young men, structure is missing, direction is missing, discipline is missing, purpose is missing. And historically, the military has provided all of those things. It has taken individuals from unstable environments and given them structure, from lack of direction to a defined path, from isolation to brotherhood. For some, that transformation has been life-changing. Job training, education benefits, a sense of identity. But here's the reality: what works for some doesn't work for everyone, because forced structure can create two very different outcomes: growth or resentment. And in a modern society that values freedom and individual choice, the idea of mandatory service becomes even more complicated. So the question isn't simple. Could a draft help some men find direction? Yes, but should that be forced? That's where the debate begins. Section 6. Adaptation or warning sign. So where does that leave us? Back at the policies. The Army is expanding its standards, opening doors that used to be closed, giving second chances to people who wouldn't have qualified before. And there are clear benefits to that: a larger recruitment pool, more realistic expectations based on modern society, opportunities for people to change their path. Older recruits can bring maturity. Waivers can give people a second chance, and flexibility can make the military more accessible. But there's another side to it. Lower standards can raise concerns about readiness, about discipline, about effectiveness, and perception matters. Because when people see the military loosening its requirements, they don't all interpret it the same way. Some see adaptation, others see desperation. And that difference in perception is where the tension lives. Because one interpretation is reassuring, the other is not. Conclusion: what this really means. The military doesn't change its standards without a reason. It doesn't expand eligibility without pressure. And it doesn't quietly shift its policies unless something is driving it. So whether these changes are about recruitment, preparation, or something bigger, they matter. Because they reflect a shift in direction. And history has shown that when the military begins to adapt like this, it's usually preparing for a future most people aren't thinking about yet. So the real question isn't, are these changes good or bad? It's this: what are they preparing for? And when that answer becomes obvious, it may already be too late to ignore it.